In this video, we're going to be looking at configuring static routes in a IPv6 enabled network. What I've done ahead of time is configured all of the hosts and router connections with the networks shown using EUI64 notation. So I've got networks 14, 15, 12, 13, and 11. And if you want to take a look at this, if I just happen to grab my laptop, so laptop 0, look at the IP configuration, you can see it's been set to auto-config, and it's assigned itself a EUI64 address. Now I'm going to grab this address, and you can see we do that with IPv6 config. This will help show us what that address is and save some typing out if you just happen to copy it. So we'll copy that. I'm going to put it into Notepad. And this will be my laptop 0. Okay, so what I want to do just to prove that this network is not working first is try to ping from corp to that laptop. So if I take corp and just try to ping the laptop, this should fail out because we don't have a route from corporate to the 14 network. So what I'm going to do here is first create a static route by giving it the next hop address. So I'm going to go into config t, and I'm going to add a static route by typing out IPv6 route, give it the destination network I'm trying to reach, so 2001 DB8 3C4D 14, and that is a slant 64. Next thing I need to do is tell it the address of the next router to go through in order to get to that 14 network. Well, if we look at this from corp, we can see we leave out serial 000, get to serial 000 in Madison, and then back to that 14 network. So I need to get the IPv6 address of serial 000 in Madison. So what I'm going to do is log into Madison and do a show IPv6 interface brief, grab that serial address, so just copy it, go back to corp, and tell it if you want to get to the 14 network, you need to talk to this router, and I've got some kind of weird text wrapping, but no big deal. And I'm going to give this the administrative distance of 150. And the reason I'm doing this is that we're eventually going to replace these static routes with the dynamic routing protocol. So I want them to have a fairly high administrative distance. So if I hit enter there, I should be able to do a show IPv6 route. So this brings up my IPv6 routing table, and a couple of things when you're looking at this. So anytime you see the C, these are the connected networks. These are what I configured in my IPv6 address, gave it this network, and then also told it to use EUI64 notation when setting up the interfaces. So this was the network I used in that part of the command, and we see the L for local. This is the address it generated using EUI64 with this prefix. So that's why we're seeing two things there. I also see my static route here to the 14 network, and that's going to the Madison router with administrative distance of 150. Now this time, when I try to ping to that router, or ping to that host, let's see what we get. We see the host failing. Think about why for a second. Our echo requests know how to get to that laptop, but the replies don't have a route coming back to us. Simple enough, we can make this a static route going the other direction as well. So what I'm going to do here is log into Madison, and I need to create a static route saying if we need to get back to the 11 network, we can just go back through it. So effectively, this 14 network is unable to reach the 11 network or the 12. What I'm going to do next on Madison is just create this route coming back towards the corporate router. So we'll do this much like what we did going the other direction. So we'll get into config T, and I will make a IPv6 route, and this is going to be going to the 11 network, so I'll do 2001 db8 3c4d 11, and anything on that slant 64, I'm going to tell it to come back through this way. Now, just again, we can use the next hop address. So from Madison to corporate, my next hop will be serial 000. So on corporate, very simple, show IPv6 interface brief, grab this serial 000. So with IPv6, you'll get used to a lot of copy and paste between these two things. And just show that we can go with our administrative distance of 150. So I should have that static route going both directions now. If I just show IPv6 route static, or we can just do show IPv6 route, packet tracer is not liking the static, we can see we have the static route for the 11 network coming back through here. So what I want to do now is just make sure that we can test this and that everything works this way. So I can do a IPv6 ping from the corporate router, and we're just going to ping the, let's say, the inside interface of Madison here. So let's do a show IPv6 interface brief, grab my inside interface. So that's on the 14 network that we just created the static routes for. If I go back to corp, I should be able to ping, and we can see those are successful. And I'm curious if my other host is still accessible or not. We might have to actually configure a default route for that host, but in any case, our router is now talking to the 14 network. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do the same thing, just going the other direction, and we will do it a little bit differently than what we just looked at. So from corp, if I want to get to the 15 network, let's check this out again. So if I'm on Sioux Falls, show IPv6 interface brief. The 15 network on Sioux Falls is 2001 db8, so forth, ending in CC01. So from corp, can I ping that? And hopefully what we're going to see is this fails because we don't have any static routes configured yet. Perfect. So let's go make those static routes and then retest it. So from config T, we'll do IPv6 route, tell it what my destination network is, so 2001 db8 3c4d 15, and that's a slant 64. But rather than telling it the next hop, I'm just going to tell it what the exit interface should be. So from corp to Sioux Falls, it needs to leave serial 001. So I'm going to tell it its next hop is just simply serial 001. I'm going to give this again administrative distance of 150. If I do a show IPv6 route, we now see that static route. It's been discovered for us. Again, we need to tell this to come back to the 11 network. So from Sioux Falls, same thing that we looked at before, config T, IPv6 route, and we will give it the destination network, so 2001 db8 3c4d 11 slant 64. And for this one to come back, we're going to use the same thing like our interface. So if Sioux Falls wants to get back to corporate, 11 network, it needs to leave serial 001. And so that's what we will use. And again, administrative distance of 150 because we're going to replace it later. So let's go back to corp and then just test this and see how we did. So if I try to, again, ping the 15 address, which is my gig 00 in Sioux Falls, now that we've got the routing set up, everything should be working.